I thought I would take out some time and tell you guys a little story about the worst time I ever had eczema. All my life I've had eczema on and off, starting at the age of like 10 or 11 or so, and it was on the inside of my elbows, and I don't remember a single time when I didn't have some form of eczema somewhere on my body. There was never like a period of time where I was totally clear skin eczema free. So around the age of maybe 14 or 15, when I was in high school, that's when all hell broke loose. That's when I started getting eczema on my hands. And right now, it's nothing compared to what it used to look like. It was so intolerably itchy, inflamed, and just, it's very strange when you have to scratch your finger, because it's not the same as like scratching an arm. It's like you really don't know how to alleviate the itch. So I struggled with that. I never wanted to show my hands. I never really communicated things. I was always trying to cover my hands up. So I never quite felt myself. I was always hyper conscious of how I looked, how people thought I looked, and what people were seeing whenever I made gestures, whenever I used my hands, whenever I wrote something, whenever I used the computer. And it was just terrible. It takes over your thought process. You don't have time to think about anything else. So 3 or 4 years later, I went to college, and things got better. I moved from New York City to Burlington, and during that time, things were getting so great that I didn't even worry about it. Like, my hands were getting great, they were looking better, my nails were all effed up. I have pictures. It was the strangest thing. My nails were always out of whack. And I had a lab partner who basically told me she was vegan, and shortly 2 months later, I went vegan. And after that, things got better. I had less flare-ups. But then I went into a very high sugar diet. It was through faults of my own that I followed some people who basically said, hey, it's going to be great, you're going to lose weight, you're going to get fit. But in turn, the high sugar diet not only made me gain weight, but I got eczema much worse than I ever thought I could get it. So finally, I decided to come off the sugar. I go back to Whole Foods. I've been doing it since August 2016. But then in December, I switched over completely. No alcohol, no coffee, no refined sugar, very, very minimal white flour, no processed foods, and things started to change. Almost immediately, the eczema got worse. Like, it was like, bam, you know what? We've got great nutrition coming in, time to purge things. So it was so bad that while we were visiting family it was January, so it was really cold. We were visiting family in Hungary. I couldn't serve soup to my family because my hands physically couldn't wrap around the ladle. So it was the worst feeling in the world, not only to feel hyper conscious and very nervous that, these Eastern European people are going to be like, oh my God, what the hell do you have? Because they're more blunt than any people I've ever met. I was just petrified. I just did not feel good in my own skin, literally. And finally, I got back to college. I'm in my dorm. I'm feeling a lot better. I'm feeling like I can be in my own box. And I started doing dry brushing. I started going to the gym, lifting weights, and I love lifting weights. But now that the weather's nice, I'm going to be outside doing cardio instead. But come winter, again, it's going to probably be weights and swimming and indoor track. But it got to the point where I was going to the gym, I had to wear a long sleeve. Okay, whatever. But then I had to wear a sweater because then the long sleeve was not enough. And then I had to wear long pants. And then I had to, it just got to the point where the eczema was just spreading everywhere. It was just full inflammation just everywhere. It started with probably my legs and my arms, and it just went to my chest, my lower back, hands, of course, and it was sort of getting unbearable to the point where I was like, all right, I can't go to the gym anymore. It's just, I can't tolerate the stress of having to exercise to clear this up because it's too much eczema. I stopped dry brushing because in about a matter of 2 to 4 weeks or so, I was supposed to go to Brazil for a study abroad trip with one of my classes. And I was like, I can't go to Brazil where you wear short sleeves and short pants if I look like a fucking lizard. So I stopped all the cleansing. I was just eating well, and I thought that would be enough to basically put the eczema in remission just for a short period of time. If I'm not causing the body to purge so much, maybe it would slow down. And 2 to 4 weeks are passing, and nothing is getting better. In fact, things are just getting worse, to the point that I don't even know if I have pictures of this, but my whole arm, I vividly remember that when I was touching it, I could not feel the same sensation that I used to feel, because it was just so scaled over with eczema that it felt foreign. It was absolutely rough. It was dry. It almost had this smell, like this metallic smell, that if I scratched it, it smelled like almost like blood. So it was extremely different from what I had ever experienced. And I was eating well. You know, I'm not eating things that trigger eczema, because I've eaten wheat, corn, and soy, never triggered anything. I've done it for months at a time where I don't eat it, and then I come back, didn't trigger anything. So I didn't think that it's anything that I'm eating, because in that department, things have only gotten better, not worse. So in my head, I'm thinking, you know, I'm doing all these good things. The body must be getting rid of, you know, the old corticosteroids that I've been taking, all the processed junk food I had in November, December, when you're partying with family and enjoying the holidays. And I did not know how to deal with it. I felt in such a despair that I just wanted to have somebody else's skin grafted on me. It's almost like depression. Depression, you feel like you can't get out of your head because you're constantly thinking about that thing that is just bugging at you and tugging at your mind, that you just don't feel well, you don't feel right, and nothing that you can distract yourself with or do can really get you into a state of mind where you're just at peace. That's what depression is like. And I felt like that, but with my skin, that nothing I could do, nothing I could distract myself, nothing that I could physically put on top of my skin, take off of my skin, put in my mouth, take out of my mouth, that could cause my skin to just not behave that way. I had zero control. It was the worst feeling in the world. I was just telling myself it's gonna be a short while until this flare-up goes away, because every flare-up has a point where it starts to get better. The flare-up was still high in Brazil throughout the 12-day trip, and I had to wear some breathable long-sleeve Wix-Away shirt that I bought impromptu right before the trip. Thank God I got it. I don't think I could have survived without it, so that was a good purchase. I wore jeans, I wore some breathable sort of like sweatpants or something maybe, and at night I had to wear long sleeves and long pants in Brazil in March, which is their fall, so it was hot. It was still hot. So I suffered a little bit, and the strangest thing, okay, so here comes the strange part. Yes, I was a full body of eczema, I was a walking eczema, but in the time that my eczema was getting bad, and I vividly remember that I never used to have eczema on the back of my hands, and that's when it started, when I went to Brazil and when I came back. But during the time that everything is just, you know, spreading and whatever, I started to notice that my hands were getting better. But it was so strange, because it's almost like they're two different systems, my body and then my hands. So like when my legs and my arms are getting better and the eczema is going down a little bit, I'll notice my hands get worse, and vice versa. And that's the only thing that I can really predict, and I can't say why it is that way, but it was so bad on my body that my hands were getting so much better. It was the strangest thing. I had pictures, like, it looked like I never had eczema in my life. My nails were getting better. My eczema on my fingers was almost non-existent, to the point where I was like doing all sorts of shit with it. Like I was like gesturing and anything to get people's attention that my hands were normal. So it felt amazing. So that was pulling me through the full body eczema experience that made me very distraught. But the positive thing that came out of this is that the feeling I got when I had clear hands was like no other. It was absolute bliss. To look at my hands and not say, that could be better, or I wish it didn't itch, or I really need some lotion because it's dry. To just look at them and say, yep, nothing wrong here, absolutely normal, plain as day as it could get. It was just such a good feeling, and soon I wish to feel that way all over my body, you know, just looking at my legs, looking at my arms, my torso, my hands, my face, just to feel like wow, everything's absolutely normal. Everything is just the way that everybody else looks, and that would feel amazing. I could go swimming whenever I want. I could bike in shorts. I can go to the beach. I can go running in short sleeves. I can sleep at night in shorts without worrying about, oh, I'm going to subconsciously scratch myself to death if I don't have some barrier between me and my skin. Diet is key to clearing things up, because I've never gotten such a strong response from diet ever before. The eczema that I get now, yes, it goes through flare-ups, and I can predict it happens maybe once every 2 weeks, sometimes, or once every week. So it goes in these dips that are getting shorter and shorter, the duration of the flare-ups, but quicker and quicker between them. So things are sizzling out or fizzling out, as opposed to when I was in Brazil back in March. It took about 6 to 8 weeks to get off of that flare-up. I don't experience flare-ups 6 to 8 weeks. I've gone through 3 or 4 flare-ups in 3 or 4 very good periods of time in 6 or 8 weeks nowadays. So things are changing rapidly for the better, and when I look at the big picture, just as when you have with weight loss, some days you're a little heavier, some days you're a little lighter, but the trend is in the downward direction, you know that what you're doing is right. It's sustainable, and it's getting the results that you desire. In my books, what I'm doing is right, because I'm seeing that general trend go towards clearer skin. So I wish you the best on your journeys, and please comment. Tell me what you'd like to see. Tell me if you like the video. Tell me if I talk too much. Tell me if I don't give a shit about this, or I don't care about that, or I really enjoyed this. I want to get your feedback. I want to help you guys, because I get my greatest joy from helping other people through the same things that I wish I could have had help with. So thank you, and have a good day.